Hey, in this episode of our Shop Tour series, we're diving into a topic that may seem obvious, but it really helps cut down on the 8 wastes, and that is the simplicity at which we build our systems. Now, through our journey of simplification, we've implemented tools like QR codes, standardized gauge lengths, and a dedicated tool replacement strategy. Now, using some of these techniques, we've been able to eliminate overprocessing and created a, bottom line, much more enjoyable work environment. Now, if you're enjoying this new series and want more behind the scenes content of how our team here at Pierson Workholding gets things done, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more lean tips and tricks.
So speaking about simplicity,
Yeah.
I see you have all these tags and QR codes, and each CNC machine is laid out a little bit differently.
Yeah.
What does it all mean? What
Yeah.
does all the QR codes mean? And how do you deal with new people coming in? So everyone here is on a new team. How do you come with new people into a very, not complex situation, but something they're unused to or unaware of?
Yeah. So one of the things we try and do around here is if we take the time to invest in the process, the product, the people, and we establish a way to do it, write it down, put it on the books. We don't want to have to redo that process again. That's the hard part. Then what we do is once we know that process works, typically we'll shoot it. We'll make an in-house video like Nathan will do that. John's done that with an iPhone. Hey Jay, where do you want this? We'll upload it to our network or on Vimeo or YouTube. And then we'll put a QR code. Like if we walk up to, I don't know what an example is. Do we have anything here? But
Not right here.
no, not right here.
Gauge.
Yeah, height gauge, I'll show you that later. Like how does this height gauge, this digital height gauge work? How do I turn it on? How do I turn it off? How do I measure? I don't want to have to go ask John because he's busy. If I ask John, and interruptions, when you get an interruption, it takes a while. You can't just like answer a question and immediately snap back into it. You're like, hey, what was I doing? Okay, what was my flow? You know, interruptions are terrible. So we want to minimize interruptions. Do we have the do not disturb? We have this vest, it's called the do not disturb vest, where you put it on, it's high vis, it says do not disturb. When a guy's focused, like, I don't want to be rude, but if John's wearing it in the morning, I won't even say hi to him. I won't fist bump him. I won't do anything. It's like he's not there and I'm not there. It helps people focus. So a QR code, it takes what we've already established. Anyone can scan it. You watch it. Oh, that's how. So if I have questions, I don't have to ask John. If I don't know how to do it, or I think I have to know how to do it, I better just watch this again, make sure I'm doing it right. So we take that hard part of figuring it out and then the harder part of training and we put it on a video. More things, so I'll pull tag 1. I don't know if you guys do gauge lengths?
We don't.
Okay, so in CNC manufacturing, there is an imaginary line right here. It's kind of like at the lower, it's about 100 thousandths above the end of the taper. And that's the gauge, what's called the gauge line. That's in the machine when it's at Z0, it's right here. Every tool has a longer length from the gauge line to the tip, okay? In this case, it is 4.793 inches. So from the gauge line to here, it's almost 5 inches, okay? When we've measured that and put it in the machine, that way, if we're gonna cut the top of the part right here, we need to tell it, hey, instead of like Z0 being here and you sending your tool to the top of this, if there's a 0 length gauge line, it's gonna go right there and it's gonna bury this tool. So we do a gauge offset so that it says, hey, this tool, you need to go 4.9 inches above it so that it goes to the 0 point. And then the bottom of the tool is on the top of it. Now that gauge length is really important because once we know that gauge length, it can go into any of the machines and we don't have to find that again. In a non-lean shop, they're gonna jog it down and you probably do it because you only have one machine. That's fine. You jog it down, it touches, and then you go, okay, you probably hit the tool offset measure button. Yeah, and then it records that gauge length. That's fine. But if your part is now located an inch higher, you either have to offset it or you have to drop it down and then redo it. So because we have multiple machines, we try and keep standardized tool, but we reserve about like, probably like 3 to 8 open pockets for those unique tools that may move around. We don't want to redo the work of finding the gauge length. Once we know it, done. We have these tags, QR codes, we have scanners on all the machines. So we put this in pocket 5, we go to the control pocket 5, scan it, it enters all the information. That took seconds. Now the hard part of finding the gauge length maybe took several minutes, but taking it out of this machine and going to the other, seconds. Again, we're reducing the burden of the setup. So, and then of course we have these tags that travel with the tool. If it goes into like a cabinet, it goes into the cabinet, carries all this same information. We need to pull it out. Great, oh, we already did the work. We know the gauge length, we know the diameter, we know the tool type, all that stuff, and it just travels with us. And then so what Max is talking about, when this goes into the machine, into the carousel, we put it in pocket 1. The tag goes right here, tag pocket 1. So when we pull it, we tag it, it goes in another machine, in our tool crib, things like that. So just a little glimpse of what we do to minimize over processing. Yeah.
If you want to be more efficient,
yeah.
If you want to reduce tool wear, what do you do in a case where one of your tool breaks? So you're going to have to redo your offset.
Yeah.
So is there a specific station, it's the same station you're working on is where you change it?
That's a great question. So what we do, we've offloaded all the touch off. Like you guys don't have what's called a presetter. We do, I'll show you that a little bit later. But whenever we get a new tool, like say he's using a 1/2 inch end mill, we know at some point, we don't really break tools around here, but they definitely wear down. So we know that we're gonna get, call it 200 minutes of useful tool time on that. We know that we're gonna have to replace that at some point while John is working, and the machine is running fine, he's gonna go set up another 1/2 inch end mill on our presetter, pre-tag it, put it here, so that when our Haas control says, hey, you hit your 200-minute runtime, or the load went up on this, the spindle load, we do spindle load monitoring, telling us the tool is worn down, then he can pause, swap the 2 tools, scan it, it puts in all the new information. So again, he wouldn't have time to set up a secondary tool if he didn't have extra time gained from all the lean waste we've eliminated. So, and by the way, the lean waste, there's 8 of them. Wasting time is not one of the lean wastes. We don't even think about the time element. If we can eliminate all 8, the byproduct of that is we've got more time than we need. In the past 2 years, we've had 2 machinists, one got transferred to another company, another one moved out of state. We have not replaced them. It's pretty casual here because we've invested in better machines, better processes. We have not missed those 2 extra machinists, and we don't have any plans to replace them. So that's a testimony. When we go from we had 5 machinists, now we're down to 3, and we're running a multi-million-dollar company, we're doing it right. We're doing it right.